they could do whatever they wanted to each individual part.
Friends of mine that are not in this business are always kind of nonplussed when I tell them that we have to, in a computer, completely recreate every single situation that we're shooting in. What that means is our match mover, he's got to be able to come back here and completely reconstruct that in the computer, because the computer doesn't know where anything is. We have spatial marks out on this area, and then Duncan, of course, measures each one later on. We know exactly where these spots were, because we have to rebuild it wherever he makes contact with either the ground or the objects around it. So when you see these guys stand on things and sit on things and bang against things, even the buildings that are, 10 stories tall all have to be mapped and measured on set.
There's a lot involved in making these vehicles and robots look real. We would go out and take pictures of the tire tread. The treads on our Optimus are the same as the treads on the real truck, and the detail down to the smallest bolt or the engine block, all that stuff. We were very meticulous. You want to see a car driving down the road and see it transform and watch it and say, well, those are real car parts. And to me, that's always the most fun and most challenging thing is, can we make this stuff look real?
We did huge packages of texture reference and abrasion reference for even the robots internally, because we didn't want them to be so squeaky clean that they were uninteresting.
So on his hand, the surface was perfectly smooth, and then we add in these scratches and nicks and dings. The hardest part about this film is we don't have real robots, we have real cars, and the real cars, they're buffing.
You look at a real car that's just been washed and polished and shined up, and it almost looks like a CG car.
So the hard part was trying to find a balance of dirt and aging to add to the robots that didn't make it look implausible that they could have come from this very clean car.
So all the car paints have multiple layers. They have a colorful layer, which is right here. You see yellow reflections in here, but there's also a clear coat on top of it, which is supposed to protect it, but it also gives you a really white reflection. So you always see a colorful reflection next to a white reflection.
Probably 2 years ago, we couldn't do this movie because of lighting and ray tracing, which is a way you light things.
We spend a lot of time getting the lighting right. It's very complicated to get all the specularity.
Because I'm a lighting buff, and especially shooting so many car commercials. I would give dissertations at ILM of like, okay, if you see a car, it's gonna have a hot spot, it's got flat here, it's got more hot spots, it's got a long highlight there, and it's very confusing when you look at it. It's not like just one soft light on the car. So they had to really invent how to light these things so complicated to make them look like they're moving, and it's like reflecting car parts in a real world.
And so we're always trying to add that in, and we're trying to give that sort of look to our robots, and adding glints in what he calls pings, where you highlight certain areas.
These tiny little lights that are being reflected in the surfaces is what he's after. That was so interesting for us that I think most of us lighting people became road hazards because we're driving around looking at other cars.
The robots are shiny. They have glass, they have metal, they have painted surfaces. The entire environment has to reflect. So every single shot has an environment recorded for it that gets now projected onto the robot. Otherwise, it will look phony baloney.
We apply everything that we've gathered from set, which is really high-resolution environments, and everything is being reflected in the car panels. And obviously, these robots are moving around a lot, so we're getting a lot of reflective play on the surfaces. And there are major light sources in here, from the headlights, there's the overhead balloon, there are the eyeballs in there, which have to be glowy, the blinking lights. We have the blinker right here, and then the face and his mouth talking is being reflected in the hood of the car. And that is what really sells it at the end. That's sort of the icing on the cake for us.
Our job and our task to create the illusion that everything was just shot on the same day, and that, these robots who aren't even real were there.
ILM is known for its really fabulous level of compositing. And these guys just look at the shot as artists all day long, judging whether or not that thing looks like it's really in there.
We start with a background plate, obviously, that's shot in production, and then we take computer-generated elements and we add them to the shot.
Michael is the type of guy that wants to shoot things messy, which I love, because you shoot the explosions or all the debris or anything on set. It makes it harder for us, but it's real. Let's say the bomb goes off next to the robot. We have to model the robot, but then we have to pull out that debris out of the plate and put him in there behind it, because he's got to fit into the background, but behind that debris that might be going.
It's very much a process for the compositor to get in there and make everything feel real again.
And that's what those guys do. They attack the shot and take it to the point where it's finished.
We shot a plate of the real helicopter, but in this case, it ended up being easier just to remove that helicopter. This is what the background plate was. We essentially removed the real helicopter and then replaced it with our own. So here, the compositor has actually added in the helicopter, layered the soldiers back over the top, added in some bullet hits for when the soldiers actually fire and hit blackout, and then enhanced muzzle flashes in some cases to try to just bring out the visual excitement of the scene. And then in the background here, where we had previously a blank tarmac, we've added more soldiers and just more firing as a texture of excitement, just to make it look like they're hitting them sort of with everything they've got.
God.
Everyone is just amazed at what they've done with the robots in terms of just how real it looks, how complicated it is.
When you finally achieve a look where it really looks real, that's it. That's the biggest excitement of the day.
There are definitely days when we go in and we review the shots and one comes up and you just say, whoa, that's incredible. Like, it looks like a real transformer.
That takes a high degree of artistry and technical support to make these things look that way.